The Solidus, Byzantium's proud gold coin, gleamed in merchants' hands, a symbol of stability for an empire that had endured a millennium. Yet behind the glint, a hidden rot was spreading, one that would shake the empire to its foundations. Our protagonist, Basil the Logothete, the empire's meticulous financial administrator, had devoted decades to maintaining the integrity of the coin. He tracked mints, monitored reserves, and enforced standards meant to preserve Byzantium's wealth. But the system he trusted was failing from within. The betrayer was greed itself, amplified by desperate emperors and overambitious court officials who sought immediate gain over lasting stability. Coins were subtly debased, precious metals skimmed, and the treasury's ledgers quietly manipulated, each act small, almost imperceptible, yet cumulative in its destruction. The setting was a Byzantine economy strained by wars, plagues, and endless taxation. Merchants, soldiers, and peasants alike relied on the Solidus, unaware that its gold content was diminishing, its value eroding with every clandestine adjustment. Basil sensed it before anyone else. The empire's wealth was a veneer, and the foundations beneath their golden currency were cracking. Something profound and irreversible was about to unfold, and no one could yet see the collapse coming. That Basil's unease grew as subtle anomalies began appearing in the treasury records. Coinage reports no longer matched the weight of minted gold. Reserves listed in ledgers seemed inflated, as though someone had forged numbers to conceal shortages. Merchants whispered about suspiciously profitable trades and sudden shifts in pricing, hinting that some were exploiting the debased currency for personal gain. Even court officials, once predictable in their fiscal routines, started behaving oddly. Late-night sessions in the imperial chambers, secretive transfers of bullion, and unexplained changes in minting quotas suggested an undercurrent of manipulation. To the casual observer, it might have seemed like competent management or sheer chance. But Basil sensed something more deliberate. The pressure was mounting. Soldiers were demanding higher pay as taxes rose, while the populace grumbled over shrinking coin value. The once solid trust in the Solidus wavered, and foreign traders eyed Byzantium warily, wary of hidden instability. Amid this tension, Basil realized that these early red flags weren't isolated errors. They were symptoms of systemic decay. And history, he feared, had a cruel way of repeating itself when warnings went unheeded. The empire's golden veneer was fragile, and the cracks beneath were growing by the day. The full scope of the betrayal was revealed when a junior mint official, fearing moral and financial ruin, became a whistleblower. Secret ledgers exposed a systematic debasement of the Solidus, where a fraction of gold was skimmed during minting and replaced with lesser metals. Generations of trust, painstakingly built, were shattered overnight. The evidence showed collusion at the highest levels. Emperors desperate to fund wars, treasury officials padding personal coffers, and courtiers manipulating valuations for private gain. The economy, long considered stable, was hemorrhaging. Merchants refused tainted coin, peasants found their savings losing value, and soldiers protested their devalued pay. Basil watched in horror as the empire's wealth evaporated and confidence imploded. The emotional fallout was profound. Panic spread, marketplaces froze, and trust in Byzantium's governance evaporated. Families reliant on stable coin faced ruin. Foreign trade partners questioned the empire's reliability, threatening diplomatic crises. Yet amid the chaos, a spark of determination ignited in Basil. He had the proof, the timeline, and the moral authority. Justice was no longer theoretical, it could be wielded. The empire teetered on the brink, and someone had to act before the golden legacy of Byzantium crumbled entirely. Basil could no longer remain a passive observer. With the empire's wealth dwindling and trust in the Solidus evaporating, he resolved to confront the corruption head-on. Armed with the whistleblower's ledgers and his own meticulous records, he began mapping the flow of embezzled gold, tracing the stolen wealth to the very officials who had orchestrated the debasement. He sought quiet counsel with loyal advisors, sharing evidence with merchants and regional governors who had begun questioning the empire's stability. Each conversation revealed the same pattern. Ego and greed had corrupted the system from top to bottom, and only a concerted effort could restore integrity. A pivotal realization struck Basil. No empire, no matter how grand, could survive if human ambition ran unchecked. Coins alone could not safeguard trust. Ethics, transparency, and courage were equally vital. With a strategic plan forming, Basil prepared for his first move, a public demonstration of the Solidus decline, juxtaposed against the evidence of misconduct. The spark of a comeback ignited, not through brute force, but through truth, precision, and timing. The empire's betrayal would soon meet accountability. Basil's strategy was methodical. He began tracing every ounce of gold that had vanished from the treasury, connecting each transaction to officials who had enriched themselves at the empire's expense. Each ledger, each minting record, became a thread in a tapestry of betrayal. Next, he discreetly shared selected evidence with trusted merchants and provincial governors, highlighting the discrepancy between the empire's reported reserves and reality. The leaks were surgical, designed to sow doubt and expose the corruption without immediate confrontation, keeping the corrupt officials oblivious to the net closing around them. Simultaneously, Basil initiated a rival minting program in a loyal province, producing coins of verified weight and purity. This demonstration of integrity highlighted the scale of the original deception and proved that a properly managed Solidus could still command trust and value. Meanwhile, the villainous officials continued their reckless indulgence, unaware that every fraudulent act had been meticulously documented. The empire still seemed stable on the surface, but beneath, a storm was gathering. Basil's countermove set the stage for the unmasking. Justice was imminent, but the final reckoning had yet to arrive. The day of reckoning arrived in the imperial court, a grand chamber filled with nobles, merchants, and officials. Basil, calm but resolute, presented the unassailable evidence of the Solidus debasement: ledgers, minting records, and first-hand accounts tracing gold siphoned from the treasury into private coffers. Gasps echoed as the extent of the betrayal became clear. Officials who had strutted through the palace with impunity now faltered under scrutiny. Their schemes, once hidden in shadows, were laid bare for all to see. Merchants murmured, soldiers exchanged concerned glances, and the court itself seemed to tremble under the weight of exposed greed. The empire reacted immediately. The corrupted officials were stripped of titles, their ill-gotten wealth confiscated, and the mints they had controlled placed under Basil's oversight. Market confidence, shaken for years, began to stabilize as the clean coins of the rival mint proved the empire could still honor its currency. For Basil, the moment was both triumph and solemn reminder. Justice had been served, but it required vigilance and courage to preserve it. The empire's gold would shine again, but the lessons of greed, corruption, and betrayal would never be forgotten. In the months following the unmasking, the empire began to heal. The corrupt officials who had once flaunted their power were disgraced, their wealth seized, their names whispered with contempt in the marketplaces they had exploited. The mints under Basil's careful oversight produced coins of verified purity, and slowly, trust in Byzantium's currency was restored. Basil, though celebrated for his courage, sought no grandeur. His victory was quiet, a moral triumph rather than a political one. He had preserved the integrity of the empire's wealth, safeguarded the livelihoods of countless citizens, and reminded history that vigilance could restrain even the most entrenched greed. Yet the lesson lingered. Empires rise and fall not merely by armies or borders, but by human ambition and the integrity of the systems they uphold. Money, like power, can corrupt, but truth and accountability leave an imprint that lasts far longer than gold. And so, as Byzantium's Solidus gleamed once more, the memory of its near collapse endured, a timeless warning. Those who cheat the future often find it slipping through their fingers. Do you think greed always gets caught? Reflect, comment, and subscribe. History is full of forgotten financial betrayals, and the next lesson may be closer than you think.